As a part of the Morning Brew's Black History Month series, we talked with Lake Braddock's very own new Dean of Students, Mr. Tucker, about his experience as an educator and an African American.
How did you get into the education career? Like, what led you to this point in your life?
Oh, well, it probably started when I was, I don't know, a little younger than you. I used to help my friends in math a lot, and they would often say, "Oh man, you should be a teacher someday." And so I was like, maybe I will. um, and then I just had a series of really good math teachers inspired me. Combined with my other passion, which is performing, I feel like teaching is a lot of performing too. So it kind of felt good, and ended up graduating from UVA with a teaching degree and a master's in education, and it's been a wrap ever since.
How did you get to Dean of Students specifically then?
I knew a friend that was in a similar position to Dean of Students, and how much he loved it, and how much he could interact with the students and feel like he was making a difference. So I put together a little video, sent it out to some schools. I was like, hey, this is what I want to do, and like Braddock was like, hey, let's chat about that. My parents raised me to believe that all you have to do is work hard and you can get it. And it's not always that simple, but if I can just instill a little bit of that into the people around me, I felt like I had a responsibility to do that.
So you mentioned that all through your life you've kind of had a lot of self-motivation and empowered yourself. Have you ever faced adversity, especially being a person of color, that has made it hard to have that like self-empowerment?
Truth be told, my parents always raised me to believe that I had to be better to be seen as equal, right? Like if I were to just do the same thing as my white peers, it wouldn't necessarily be seen as the same, right? So like I didn't really pay much attention. I just worked the best that I could, and I tended to excel at things where I think I kind of made it hard for folks to like it would have just been blatant at that point to try to hold me down. I mean, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything, but I always had I did well in school. I did well in sports, and I like to think I was a nice kid, and so I tried not to give people an opportunity to treat me any way that I didn't want to be treated, and just leave no shadow of a doubt, right? But by the same token, there are definitely some obstacles when you look back and you're like, I wonder if that would have played out differently, right? If I didn't look the way I did. And at the time, there's no, a lot of times you just power through it because that's what you've been told to do. You just have the subtleties, right? That don't, it's not like I've seen some of the persecutions that the folks in the media have been seeing lately, right? I haven't been treated that abrasively. I've been spat at, right? Like I've had people just drop the N-bomb. It's nothing to the extent of what a lot of other folks have had to deal with. So in that sense, I feel very fortunate. But it doesn't mean that it's been that doesn't mean that the things that I've seen are right or justifiable. It's just that if I were to focus on every time I saw those little things, then I would just be spinning around in circles, right? So you just do what you got to do to kind of keep on going. No, and it's tough because this is just my personal how I've dealt with it, right? Um, and I feel an ownership sometimes where I feel like I'm letting down society by like you said, by minimizing it. But that's kind of what we have to do to survive, right? Because if I got upset every time, I don't see it so many times anymore. I literally don't even see it until somebody asks me a question like this. And so while I minimize that stuff, at the same time I'm like, I think about how much weight I carry in my head and how distracted I can be sometimes, especially when I leave work. Like the work stays with me because I always feel this pressure to kind of be better, to be seen as equal, like my mom said. But all that to say, yes, I let it roll off my back on the outside, but it still weighs heavily on the inside, so it kind of stinks sometimes, you know.
Do you have any advice for teenagers that would just encourage them to follow their dreams and persevere through hardships?
Whether black, white, brown, you know, purple, whatever, it's the same old, right? You always want to work hard. You always want to follow your dreams. You want to dream big. I would say dream big because you can. I mean, anything is possible. You don't have to play into the stereotypes that some folks want to lay out for you. Do what you feel passionate about. So that's why I think that that Black History Month is so because it reminds us of the different avenues that are out there. So.